Hey guys, what's up? It's Roth, and I am so excited because I am here with Chad Coleman. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Chad L. Coleman to
Chad
you.
L. Coleman to me. All right. I've been put in my place already. We just started this interview. Obviously, Tyreese from The Walking Dead. Now listen, we're going to do full spoilers here for the Season 5 mid-season premiere of The Walking Dead. So if you haven't seen it yet, why haven't you seen it yet? It was just on and it was so good. Go watch it. Come back here when you're done. You're going to want to hear this.
Absolutely.
I was crying. I was just telling you this, and legitimately, after watching this episode, I cried. And I don't do that a lot. I truly don't. But this was really one of the most powerful exits that I think I've seen on this series. And so I'm curious what it was like for you on set and then watching it.
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, I think Scott Gimple did an amazing job in honoring this man. The episode, if you didn't know who Tyreese was, by the end of the episode, you know who that man is. Mm-hmm. So it was a wonderful homage to the man and, his power, his presence, his heart, everything. Nothing was missed. And it was amazing. All the beats were there, and it was a ballad. It was a wonderful, sad song that, just kind of trailed out. So it was incredibly emotional. It was probably the toughest episode outside of the Grove for me. It was grueling. It was a bloodbath. It was a nonstop bloodbath. And I was mentally and emotionally exhausted when we finished. Shooting those scenes inside that room, a man fighting with himself, yet, fighting with himself so intensely that all of the hallucinations felt like they were real, and fighting to stay alive, what's real, what's not. It was truly an excruciating deal. But Greg Nicotero at the helm as director, amazing job. He would always make me laugh because he knew, he's like, I'm afraid you're going to explode. You're going to combust. It's so much, And to have him, take that journey with me, I couldn't ask for, a better director at the helm outside of Mike Satrazemis, who was my director in the Grove episode. Mm-hmm. And, it would have been nice to have Melissa McBride take the ride somewhere in there. That's the part that it's like her and Sonequa Martin Green, Sasha. It would have been, those are folks that, even if Karen could have,
somehow pop back in.
But it was a different story. I understand completely why. This was all about the people that I saw die horrifically. Mm-hmm. And so, yes, Bob is there. Yes, Mika and Lizzie is there. Beth is there.
Yep.
And then on the villain side, because you have Chris Coy Martin, and of course you have David Morrissey, the governor. So it was almost like a heaven and hell kind of
That's
deal.
Really what it felt like.
Yeah.
But what was interesting is that it was presenting this idea that heaven was death and hell was earth. And it was up to him to choose one or the other. And it was really up to him. Are you going to let go or are you going to stay in this hell?
What?
Do you not think
Did
so?
you say it? Let me see if you said it the right way now.
Tell me how to say it the right way.
No, death was heaven.
Death was heaven and hell was earth.
That's right. I agree. Yeah. That's beautifully said. Yeah, that's true. And that's so apropos, though.
Yeah.
And I don't know, you know what? Earth was exhausting. But, the man did all he could. And not to deal in hyperbole or be overreaching, but it's almost like if you look at Martin Luther King and, that last speech he gave in Memphis, and like, I might not get there with you. And you knew this man knew that he was on his way out. And it's a heavy weight to carry. Now, I personally don't believe that Tyreese necessarily had to go. I know it's overwhelming, it's exhausting, but you to whom much is given, much is required. This man had a huge heart, so it's like the cost of really truly caring about people. And I think it just the couldn't recharge the battery, you know?
Yeah.
A lot was taken because a lot was given. But I think, that, you know, they did a masterful job of that. And I love, you know, that being kind of a metaphor, you know. But also on another level, it's him wrestling with his conscience.
Yeah, because of...
Yes, the governor.
The governor,
you know,
and
who
Martin.
I was almost seduced by. And like I was that close to possibly, you know, being a part of that hell, you know, and realizing the man I am is the complete and absolute opposite of who this man is, because he wears a mask and I don't. You know, I am who I say I am, and he's, you know, was incredibly deceptive, but so good at it, which was scary, you know.
I love the moment when he's in Tyrese's mind, the government's heading towards him, and then he shakes out of it, and it's a walker, it's that monster.
Yes,
you know?
absolutely.
It's like his real face showing
That's
through.
right. There you go.
Yeah.
Real beautifully said. Beautiful. Like that's it. The mask came off. That's exactly who he is. And then Chris Coy, in terms of like, you know, in the real life situation, trying to push my buttons. You're going to define me, tell me who I am. You're testing me again as a man. You're saying my ideology is just foolish. And then to have to face it and not kill him, you know, which was, you know, that was a pivotal point. That's when I honestly the wheels started to turn to say, I'm not going to be here long, because he did, you know, he lied and he was deceptive for good reasons.
Right, because just to remind people, that's Martin in the cabin, who you told Carol, Tyreese told Carol that he killed, but he did not.
But the timing is everything.
Yeah.
Though there we were in a very beautiful homecoming moment. Now, really, I've broken this down, and this is the truth. Why would I want Rick to step inside there and see that and recognize that his baby girl was that close to perish?
Right.
You know, no, you don't want that, you know. So on one level, I could justify it by saying, listen, here we are in a beautiful, warm, fuzzy moment that we don't get much, and we're all back together, and we're on our way out of here. I don't expect to see this man again.
Right.
I don't know about, you know, completely as much as Carol does about what was out there or what they know about what was out there. So I could justify it in saying that. He said, why spoil this beautiful moment? I got it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And I always felt, honestly, that this guy was going to pass away from mortal wounds, you know, though I didn't purposely kill him. You know, but that's just me. And I understand the rest of the people saying that you couldn't kill a human. But my point was, it wasn't necessary to kill him because we're moving on. But guess what happened? We got snagged by all this other stuff. We were supposed to keep traveling.
Right.
They should have never caught up with us. So, you know, I had to deal with that. And that was tough, but that was the point. I felt, okay, you know what? There's a problem. I went to Scott. And I said, man, Tyreese doesn't lie. He doesn't deceive. He's not manipulative. He doesn't, you know, the road to hell is paved with good intentions.
Right.
So if you lie in the name of something good, that's like Bush saying, hey, there was weapons of mass destruction over there. It had to happen because, no, and see what the backlash is. So I was like, to me, there's hell to pay. And he said, no, it's not going to be like that. You know, it's not that deep.
Right.
But to peek through that door and say things that just turn, you know, see how things turn for Beth. And I said, listen, this is the plan. And we're on our way out of that hospital. But Beth does something different.
Right.
What if Martin had done something different and got the jump on my sister?
Right.
So that's heavy stuff to me, you know. Fortunately, it didn't go down that way. But it said something about they were creating an Achilles heel for me, that I would somehow compromise things if it meant I didn't have to kill a human being, you know, which I wasn't really comfortable with that. But that's what they, you know, needed to do. So in order for me to sing other notes, tell a different story. You know, their perception of me on one level is that, you know what? Yeah, you are too sensitive for this world. I don't believe that. Chad Coleman does not believe
that Tyreese is too sensitive.
No, I don't believe that. And there's a high cost to pay for his consciousness and his character and his integrity. We do need that tremendously in that world. But I think what they wanted was for, just like with Martin Luther King, that the rest of the world has to come to terms with where is that in me? And you have to see that void first. You know, when we lost him, everybody felt that void, and this voice, it's missing. Okay, well, it's not another one coming along. It's going to either come out of you or it's not. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. I mean, I thought two interesting things about the episode. One was that they were using this idea of the radio, which is talking about horrors that are happening from, miles and miles away from us. And I thought that was a good parallel to how Tyreese would be feeling about this world. It's just full of horror, turn
Absolutely.
It off. I don't want to be here anymore.
Well, see, I hear you, but again, the episode did a great job of laying out his backstory and his relationship with his father, and him saying, as a citizen of the world, you don't get to bury your head in the sand.
Right.
Never do that. Now, what's the cost of not burying your head in the sand? It's possible that, it can become too much.
Right.
The weight of it can be, not necessarily, but I think they're speaking to the metaphor of a lot of our leaders.
Right.
Look what happens when real leaders put themselves on the line.
Or we, the everyday citizens, there is a tendency to just turn it off.
That's right.
And ignore it.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. But so that's what I'm saying. Well, by the time he gets to turn it off, though, it's not the turn it off that other people haven't earned that turn it off. They buried their head in the sand.
Yeah.
They've refused to see it. And his father said, no, you're going to see this, son, because this is going to develop your character and who you are as a man in this world. And it matters that we participate in, our evolution. And that's why, I'm working on a project right now so when I tell the lady, I said, I am Ferguson. She goes, well, are you from there? No, but that's my community as well. We are one world community, but you got to have that perspective. And if you don't have that perspective, it's like, well, what's wrong with you? I say, Tyreese, well, what's wrong? Why do you care so much?
Right.
Why are you going above and beyond? But that's what I believe. That's what I believe as human beings. We should do that, and that is incredibly important. And no amount of mayhem or egregious violence should pull me away from that or make me mirror what they're doing. I never felt that.
The other piece of it that I thought was really great was that this was the first time when we had a death that it really put you into the POV of the person that was dying.
Absolutely.
And so I think at the same time that Glenn was saying, look, it doesn't matter if you killed that lady or not. Like, life doesn't really even matter anymore. To some degree, he wasn't quite saying that. You're getting the message that, of course, it does, because this one life, look at this one life.
Absolutely.
It matters so much.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you guys sort of had those discussions or...
No, we didn't need to. By this time, it's kind of, body language.
Right.
And we all have been so invested in this world, you need to say very little. I thought it was tantamount in how hard they fought to try to get me home, to save my life. They showed how much I mattered,
Right.
and I love that they had to carry me, take me. Hang on, let me see you. I have, figuratively carried the consciousness of all of you for so long. Now, are you going to be there for me? And they were, that was a beautiful thing. I in no way, shape, or form, I want people to understand this. He did not choose to die, or he couldn't take his own life. You understand? He said what he said because his heart was about to stop.
Yeah.
You understand what I mean?
I do. It's interesting. I mean, I think maybe people would interpret it that way, but yes, I see what you're saying. It was just
Please
he was
understand
dying.
that, right?
Yeah.
When your heart, you can't stop your heart from stopping, and I would imagine, or I would wager, that people who get to that gate know it's coming. So okay, all right, I'm ready. I know people who or when you get to that I'm ready to go, all you're saying is, whatever this transition is, it's okay with me. Because I couldn't stop it anyway. You know, I was mortally wounded.
I know we're going to probably let you go soon, but how do you think that Sasha will respond to this? I mean, she's just now been dealt 2 big blows
Absolutely.
rapidly.
And that's all a part of the plan. How does the weight of all of this play out with the rest of the players now? And so, did I reach her in all those times when I confessed my wrong and when I said to her, you know what, when you was a little girl, you followed me around, and you know what, we're still the same. And she's like, no, we're not. So you can only imagine what's being set up.
Yeah.
So that's why she wasn't there. Because if she had gotten there, I would have done everything in my power the same way Bob did. To say, hey, I'm all right. It's okay. Don't let this turn you into a raging, maniac. But we'll see. Stay tuned.
This one, I really think this one is going to get to people. Was there another death that for you was like the big shocking one, or obviously your own?
No. Impact, Scott Wilson.
Yeah.
Shock, Beth.
Yeah.
Shock. And see, the thing for it's duplicit, because when I see a character whose story hasn't, been worked and allowed to, mature, and Bob, Lawrence Gilliard. Yeah, I see 2 things. I wanted the audience to see Sasha and Bob. I wanted to see that relationship. I wanted to see the relationship between Beth and Noah. I wanted to see that relationship. And so that speaks to the power of the storytelling, the power of the actors, and, it speaks to the heart. Who doesn't want, and this time, Maggie and Glenn can't be the only ones, everybody else is getting robbed of it. And so, but it's a cruel, cruel world. So, what are you going to do? I got robbed of it too.
Yeah.
Because I Melissa Ponzio, come on. We could have, but it mirrors, hey guys, glad that you want it, but guess what? This is an ugly world and you're not going to get it. So what are you going to do? You got to deal with it.
Do you feel good about the arc overall? I don't know if you had read the comics or if you had gone in thinking certain things were going to happen for him, but it feels like a really strong arc to me. What they've done
right
with the
away
show.
It would never be, the Michonne and Carol deal.
Yeah, that whole thing.
I would have loved to. Some people couldn't have. I don't know. They couldn't have stomached it, but I thought after all of that, her and I could come together. I thought that would have been an amazing thing.
Carol, you guys had that amazing scene.
But I will say to you that there was nothing more I could do within the construct of what Robert Kirkman and Scott Gimple wanted to do. Now, yes, I have great ideas about what would happen, but honestly, all I felt was I would have had to tell my sister goodbye because I would have left them, and I would have went off to find a group of like-minded people and start our own community and be hell-bent to do it the way we feel is right. Now, if they wanted to examine that ideology even further, then I would have been over here, doing this, and you cut back to them, and who knows how it could have played out. But that's too big a shift, and Rick is the center of this thing. So we're exploring. Everybody else is a tool to explore Rick in a lot of different ways. Yeah. So I played my part, and that was it for that. And it was fine with me. I have no complaints. If I walked away just doing The Grove, I know that that's a top 5 show.
Was that the moment for you, the pinnacle moment of your experience on The Walking Dead?
That's correct. Yeah, that was the pinnacle television moment for me. Period. They gave me that. So I wasn't gonna be complaining, but then they come back, and I told Satchel Siemens, I said, listen, man, I think Craig might have got you by a nose because of all the other dynamics in it with so many people coming back. And both of them were serious, bold storytelling, that if you don't get it right, it could go horribly wrong.
Yeah.
And we nailed it. So I had no complaints. I told him, I said, but if you're going to fight Robert Kirkman and Scott Gimple, you better have something that's, and I didn't have it. And I had to admit it that, I don't have it. Just like Tyreese. I don't have any more answers.
Yeah.
I'm breathing in and breathing out. And okay, this is just it for me. Now, how are we going to do it? And once he's explained to me how it was going to happen, I was like, let's go shoot this tomorrow, So, and everybody was all in, So it was an amazing experience. And, when it was all over, I'm standing there and just bloody and exhausted, but everybody's coming to hug me like, I don't care if you get blood on me, put the blood on me.
Got these actors back around you that had gone away. And
Absolutely.
Really beautiful.
I mean, it was tied up lovely. There was nothing more to say. When I read the script, I said, okay, Scott, I have nothing to say. This was, it was.
Yeah. Thank you so much. I mean, I would agree with you, and I say this in sincerity, that those two scenes, I think, are the two of the most powerful on this series to date. So thank you. Congratulations. Thanks for coming by. We're going to miss your character on the show. But hey, people come back. Now we've learned as ghosts. Yeah. So maybe you will haunt a little bit.
Tune into my new show.
Talk a little bit about that.
When it comes on, there's a void that needs to be filled. There's no spaceship. There's no Star Trek of today, and or a Battlestar Galactica was probably the last great one.
Oh, so great.
So we got something amazing coming. It was based on these #1 best-selling New York Times novels, Leviathan Wakes. And so we already got an audience based on the readers, just not unlike, The Walking Dead. And we have an amazing cast, and this is an international cast, though.
And this show is on
Sci-Fi. It's going to be on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
Thomas Jane is Jane is the Rick Grimes of our deal, but you got all these major supporting players who have amazing roles, and I play Commander Fred Johnson, and I get to wear a space suit.
And this is going to debut. Do you know when it's going to debut?
Well, we was thinking July, but we don't know. It's probably it could be July, but if not July, then look for it in December.
Okay.
When everybody's cold and snuggled up in the house, have you a nice space drama.
So look for you in Sci-Fi, July or December.
Yeah, and I'm producing my own film, and it's called When January Feels Like Summer. And so I'm working on that. It's going to be an amazing independent film. That young lady named Corey Thomas, it's based on her play, and she's adapted it into a screenplay. You're going to see Indian and African Americans engage each other in a way that you don't normally see. It's incredibly compelling. You've never seen a transgendered Indian guy, as a woman who falls in love with a hip hop kid from Harlem.
I haven't
How
seen
does that play out? Stay tuned,
Stay tuned.
Yeah. And an African American male who falls in love with an Indian woman who's married and husband is on life support. And come to find out, he had never deflowered her. And he's all into porn. Then he gets shot. So I'm telling you, right, this is going to be some wild, And he falls in love with a character like a sanitation worker that Forrest Whitaker should play. And then if you think about it, remember The Crying Game? This is The Crying Game meets Slumdog Millionaire.
That's the pitch right there. Crying Game meets Slumdog Millionaire.
Trust me.
Both great movies.
We got him.
Thank you again so much. We really appreciate it. Thank you for a wonderful arc on The Walking Dead. And you guys, leave your comments below. What did you think about this exit of Tyreese? I mean, were you crying like I was?
I just want to say thank you to all of the fans out there that's made this show an amazing journey for me, and all of the comic book enthusiasts who accepted and received me playing this role and us going this way when the comic book went that way. Thank you for receiving me. It's been amazing, but I tell everybody it's TWD for life. There will be no other Tyreese, so.
I can't say it any better than that. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.